What's going on, pursuers? Welcome to The Pursuit of Calling, the podcast that provides you with the strategies and tools needed to successfully discover and pursue your calling. Whether it's through inspiring stories, thought-provoking interviews, or quick, insightful episodes on personal growth and development, we've got you covered. I'm your host, Carney. Enjoy the episode. I have a condition called muscular dystonia. You might already know that. However, for those who don't know, this condition, it's neurological, and it's not always chronic, but mine is, and it causes chronic pain. And today, a friend of mine, Shane, came over the other day to help me clean my place. So I dropped him off at my place after church, and he started cleaning. I went grocery shopping, and when I got back, he had gone above and beyond, cleaning far more than what I actually expected him to do, which I honestly believe is what we as Christians should be doing to achieve excellence, exceeding expectations. I could have done this myself, though, but it would have taken much longer and left me in a lot of pain. That moment reminded me, asking for help isn't a weakness. It's wisdom and it's maturity. But it also reminded me of something deeper. Even though people understand my limitations, that's not my goal. My goal isn't to be understood. It's to get things done. It's to do them well and to live in my calling. People are going to understand your limitations, and that's okay. That's something that we should have lay out for people, that we have limitations, that we can't do everything that other people can do. But don't make that the goal. Don't let it stop there. It's easy for others to say, I understand why you couldn't do it. I understand why your place is dirty in my context. I understand why. I'm just going to leave it at that. I understand why you couldn't do the things that other people can do. But if you stop there, you start lowering your standards lowering your standard of obedience to what others can understand. What do I mean by obedience? What is that what is that standard of obedience? It's obedience to God. I believe that God has a calling on your life. God has a calling in your life that is not determined by your circumstances. Our goal is not to be understood, but it is to be faithful. Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, work at it with all of your heart, as working for the Lord and not for human masters, not for men. What that means, even in pain, even with limited energy, we do what God has called us to do. And we strive to do it well. Not everything. Again, like we said this last week. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, I dove really deep into 3:23 in Colossians 3:23, and it dives into saying, you don't strive to do everything well, but to do the right things well. To do the things that you can prioritize to live in your calling well. Faithful excellence isn't doing it alone either. Before I mentioned my friend my friend Shane, and asking for help isn't shameful. It's biblical. That's what biblical community is for. God didn't design us to carry every task alone. There's strength in asking for help so you can focus your energy on what matters most. If you're like me and maybe you have chronic pain, or maybe you have other limitations that I don't even know exist, but maybe you have maybe you're like me, you have chronic pain, and you can't clean yourself. You can't clean your home. Maybe like me, you can't drive all the time by yourself. You're going to need to ask for help. You're going to need to be dependent on others on this pursuit of your calling. You can't do all the things you want to do. Like if you're like me, you're a high achiever. if you're like me, you strive to do a lot of things and you strive to do them all well, but you also you might probably realize pretty quickly and pretty early on that you weren't able to do it all by yourself. So what did you do? Did you quit or did you find somebody to help? If you quit, I think now this is the time to find someone to help you live in that calling well, to help you figure out how to do the things that you're not able to do on your own. Live in such a way that people don't understand how you did it. Let people look at you and look at your life and say, how does he keep showing up like that? How does he get it all done? Like, he has these limitations. Like, how is he able to do it? How does he keep showing up like that? When they see that, they're not seeing you. They're seeing God's strength made perfect in your weakness. And what I love about that is that it calls people higher, even people without conditions. If we in our own conditions, if we with our limitations can strive to live in our calling well, can strive to express the fruits of the Spirit, to joy, peace, faithfulness, kindness, and self-control. And there's what I know I'm missing at least one. That will call others higher. If we strive to live in our callings well, others will strive as well. God can use your condition for his glory. Do not forget this. This is the most important point of this whole episode. God can use your condition for his glory. Whether or not God caused your condition, he can redeem it. So this is actually something that apparently is a high tension topic, I believe. So some people believe, and maybe you're one of them, that God causes these conditions in order for them to be our cross to bear. And in order for us to learn from, in order for him to be able to use us in a particular way for his glory. I don't exactly believe that. I believe that because of sin entering the world, these conditions are a part of our reality. And despite that, despite the evil that was meant by it, by the enemy, God still turns it around for good. He can use anything and does. So that means God is going to use your condition for his glory. All you got to do is be open to that. All you got to do is say, God, show me how. Show me how I can use my condition, how I can use my condition for your glory, how you are going to be using my condition for your glory. Help me be dependent on you, God. Romans 8:28 says, and we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him. God, look, I don't know why we're in these conditions. The only reason I have is that God is using it for his glory. And I don't believe that it's some cosmic mistake. I don't believe you're in pain because of your sin, like they believed in the Old Testament. I don't believe that you're cursed. I believe that you're blessed. I believe that I'm blessed. Because my faith has grown exponentially as a result of my condition. And I'm striving to live my calling every day for his glory, because this is what I'm called to do. I'm called to provide people with the tools needed to successfully discover and pursue their God-given calling despite my circumstances. Your circumstances don't define your calling. God does. Your pain isn't wasted. It's your platform. Your calling doesn't disappear when your body hurts. If anything, it becomes clearer, cutting out things in your life and causing you to focus on what's most important. Instead of asking God, why me? You can ask God instead, God, how do you want to use this? I know I'm repeating myself, but it's important. You just pray. There is no bad prayer. God, how do you want to use this? Don't aim for people to understand your pain. Aim for them to see your purpose through it. Aim to not understand. Aim to be misunderstood. They can understand that you have limitations, but have them misunderstand that maybe they thought because of your limitations that you weren't going to be able to achieve as much. Aim to be misunderstood. Achieve more than what the world tells you you can. If you knew, sorry, I skipped ahead a little bit. Okay, so this week I want to pause and ask. I want you to pause and ask, where have I been aiming to be understood instead of being faithful? Or another way to ask that, where am I okay with living underneath my calling? Where am I okay with living under where I'm called to live? You're called to live here and you're living here. If you're watching the YouTube video, I have one hand above the other hand and saying you're called higher. That's why I had the merch, and we'll bring back one day that says you were made for more. Sorry if I just clapped and might have heard it in the microphone, but you were made for more. You're made for more than your circumstance. You're made for more than what the world has told you your purpose is. Your purpose is not your pain, but it will amplify it. Wait, no. That your purpose is not your pain, but your pain will amplify your purpose. Okay, one final question. If you knew that I could help you living your calling well despite your circumstances, what would you do? I don't know if you know, but I'm a certified life coach through Maxwell Leadership. And what that means essentially is that I'm trained in having thought-provoking conversations. You might be like, what the heck's that? Let me continue. If you're still listening to this episode and there's something stirring in you, if you're tired of surviving and want to start thriving, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna talk to you about what's holding you back, where you are currently, and what it could look like to live in your calling well. You were made on purpose and for a purpose. So I want to pursue that together. So the part of the coaching where I'm just trained at asking good questions. I'm trained to get you to see where your calling is if you don't already know, and then be able to create an actionable plan in order to achieve that well. And then there's the accountability part of that, where every week you come back and we talk about what you did last week, what you're aimed to do next week, what the obstacles are in the way, and how you're going to do it. And that's every single week. That's the layout that I just let you behind the curtain. And I want to do it for you, the people that are in these circumstances, the people that feel like that others think that their circumstances define what they are able to achieve. And I want you to be able to say no. So click the link in the description of this. It's just a free 45-minute discovery coaching call. I want to help you pursue your calling. And if you go through this and you don't like it, hey, worst thing that happened is that you spent 45 minutes 45 minutes to see what it could possibly mean to live in your calling well. That's the worst that can happen, that 45 minutes you don't get back. Do you have 45 minutes? I think you have 45 minutes. You got nothing to lose. So, guys, if anything, go back and answer the questions I asked you earlier. Where are you living under your calling? And if you like this episode, please give it a five stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Give it a review and share it out on social media. Share it with a friend. All right, I'll see you next time. Keep pursuing your calling well. Peace.